that, guys. I had a phone call. It's my brother. I was joking around about him. He actually owns a construction company, and he's been sending me messages and blah blah blah. And he invited me out on a snowmobile trip and stuff. And he's all, you know, oh, best snow ever, blah. I'm like, that's great, you know, I'm kind of busy. There we go. Perfect. Right there. And he's on his way back from a snowmobile trip. And he's sending me messages and stuff, and best snow ever, you missed out. Well, you know, I got something going on, plus I got COVID, so gotta do what I gotta do. And I just messaged him, and I said, well, I just messaged him, and I'm like, oh, you're gonna be here? Or his cabin that he rents from a guy up here that I used to do with him. I didn't hit one there. Doesn't have any hot water, and I've been messaging him about it. And everything, and they've been like, oh, flip this switch, oh, do this and do that. You know, it's like, just get over here. And, you know, he rents the thing from a guy. The guy owns it. Why am I not hitting something here? My eyesight is not good here or something. And he's like, I'm on my way back to the airport, blah. The guy said he's gonna have an electrician there at 9:30 in the morning, make sure it's still open, or that it's open. I'm like, dude, I never locked the cabin. And this is a dimpler. I don't know if you can see this or not. Just a little bit. It's kind of concave, just the tip of the bit sticks out, and it's magnetic. It'll hold the screw in there, and what it does is it sets it so that it is just below the surface, so when you put mud on there you won't be able to see it. But anyways, he was all going on about it and stuff, and he was telling me that the guy's gonna be here at 9:30 in the morning, make sure it's open. And I said, well, it's always open. And then I was just joking around, and I sent him a message. I said, "You gonna be here at 10 with the whole crew, with your guys, so you can help me knock out this house or whatever?" And he's like, "I gotta remodel a laundry mat and do this and do that and do this, and then Christmas, and then I'm probably gonna be taking another trip to Colorado." And I just responded back to him. I said, "Dude, I'm just joking. You know, I need to come up. I'm fine." I think that if he was here, he would be all like, just do it, just screw it, that's fine, I don't care, just put a piece of trim, you know, he would just be yelling and stuff. He'd want to do it his way and stuff, and I want it done nice. I want it, yeah, it's just a cabin, but, you know, it's gonna be a nice cabin when I'm done with it. And so I think it would just be an issue, you know, an argument between us. And so I was just joking around with him. But he responded back. He's like, "You know, you're way over your head." I couldn't really believe he even said that to me. I mean, this is a guy that's been talking to me for years because he owns a construction company about opening a branch up by me and having another, you know, same name and stuff and going together. And I'm like, sorry, I don't go in business with family. That never works. So, you know, it's just kind of irritated me. Then he called me. Well, I didn't mean to make you mad. I'm like, well, that's pretty insulting. I mean, you know, I know how to do all this stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it takes me a little bit longer, mate, because I'm older and I'm sick right now, but I'll get it done and it'll be right. Oh, I know. This is what it is. Sometimes he's a little insulting about stuff. He doesn't think sometimes. He opens his mouth. But usually when you're drywall, what you want to have is about every 12 inches. And you can see that I put these top screws, I put them up way high. There's a reason why I do that, because I'm going to be putting a piece of trim up there. That way I don't even have to mess around with mudding. There's going to be a piece of crown molding that's going to go around the room. So it's going to cover all these. So that's why I'm doing that. And then when I go into corners like this, I always go a little bit close like that too. So that when the next sheet comes up here, it's going to be a 1/2 inch covering it. And so I try to put it so that the screws are pretty much covering it. But you want to put drywall screws about 1 foot. When you're doing drywall, about every foot. It's about the common practice. Because there's going to be corner trim. The laundry room and the bathroom, I decided to mud the corners. But the rest of the rooms, it's just for speed wise and stuff. I'm just going to put trim and stuff over. So there you go. First sheet is done. It's up there. I just need to start making my way around the room, getting all the rest of the sheets. And if you haven't noticed, before you do any drywall, you want to go around and you want to mark on the floor and on the ceiling where your studs are. So that way it's easier to find. And I will come down and I will screw all these in. I'll come back once I get it all up and the chute screws every foot, screw everything in and make it all nice and tight. But there you go. I like this idea because the countertops are going to be, I think it's 37 inches. It's going to be the countertops. So the countertops are going to be right here. So you won't even, and then it's got a 3-inch lip on it. The lip off the countertop is going to be like right here. So that way you won't even see these joints, guys. I love it. It makes it a lot easier for me. Well guys, we have gotten all of our sheetrock hung. I'm just finishing this up. Now, I just did something and you can see this right here. It means there's something behind there. There's a nail or something that I missed. What you can do is just take a hammer and you just tap it like that. And you just give a little tap, and you can kind of indentation that. There's a nail head. There's a nail head or something behind there that push it out. Now it's in. It's pressed in. I just kind of dented the sheetrock in just a bit to make. So now when I mud, I'll just mud across that, and you won't even notice it. I had it happen over there too. I forgot a screw. I had to screw from my laser thing, and I put that sheet on there and it busted it out. Just fix it with some mud. But you put these about every foot or so. You can, use your discretion. But this is a dimpler, and there's special guns that made for this, but they were like $200 some. I didn't feel like spending it. But this here, you run it in. Got crooked here. There we go. You want to make sure you're straight. Run it in, and then it stops spinning, and you can hear how it grind like that. And you see that little deal around it? That's this outside here. And what it's doing is it's dimpling the sheetrock, and it sets the screw just below the surface, but doesn't puncture the paper. And that's what gives you your holding. But then you just take some mud and you just put it across there, and a little sand on there, and you'll never know that screw was there. So this is what you call a dimpler. You can get these, and that's all you do. You just go along and just put them in. There you go. The room is all sheetrocked. I am not going to be sheetrocking behind there because there's no purpose for it. It's just too much of a pain in the butt. There's cabinets that are all going to be on, and this is going to be closed off. It'll be all enclosed. You won't even see that with the cabinets or nothing. I'll have a little panel that I can get to this if I need to check the pressure and set the pressure tank and all this stuff in the future if something happens. But everything is all screwed in. It's all sheetrocked. I do have to go through the ceiling, put some more screws. I think I told you that. I was up in the ceiling and I missed the rafter, and I just put pressure. I think it was right here. My hand missed the rafter and I just hit it. I heard it pop. And this was the older sheetrock. It just has nails in it. And so I popped all the nails down. But just going through and putting some screws in here and there and stuff, and then I'll fix all that up. But then I need to go around the room and make sure all the screws are all below the level of the sheetrock. Just double check everything, maybe run in a few here and there, make sure everything is there. I am actually I've made a decision, I'm going to actually mud all the corners in this room. I'm going to do trim and stuff, but the problem is that I'm going to be putting cabinets up along here. And you're not going to be able to trim behind the cabinets and everything, and I don't want there to be any gaps. This will seal this room off because that is an outside wall, and I think it'll look better if I do that. So it's all set up. Who has a toilet in their kitchen? But yeah. The last time I was recording, I had that phone call, and it bothered me. It really did. And I don't think it was so much my brother. I don't believe it was so much my brother that it bothered me. It was mainly because I think I'm sick. And going through this, I'm horrible at being sick. I really am. I'm one of the biggest babies at being sick. And yeah, that's good. I just got to tap all his hammers in, or his nails in. But once in a while I get comments and stuff, and I know it comes with it, and it's no big deal. But it's just like, and I know what they're doing. It's just basically people trying to pick fights and stuff. I guess they have nothing better to do in their lives but try to go on the internet and pick fights with people. You know, I get one guy that comments on every one of these videos, do you know what you're doing? You know, it's like, shut up. And usually I can be where I don't let this stuff bother me, but, you know, I think it's because I've been sick and just been irritable. So, you know, there's just that. And I think that I know that my brother was just joking around about stuff. I mean, even afterwards, he was all like, oh, I was just kidding. I know. But the thing is that we've talked about having a place up here in the past. And, you know, he's always been just, let's buy just a piece of little land and just throw a pole barn up in it and put a, you know, a separate little kind of apartment inside of it and just throw a couple beds in it, you know. It's a little place that we can pull our, you know, trucks with sleds in, you know, and right into the shop and everything's heated and all this, and, you know, just some place to close our eyes, you know. And yeah, I understand that. I really do. And I kind of always been like, yeah, you know, I understand that. That's cool. But he has a different take on what I want to do, you know. And that's fine. That idea has been fine. But I'm actually fixing this place up. I'm going to tell you right now, this place is going to be worth a lot more money than I paid for it. Is it an investment? I don't know what I'm doing yet. I'm kind of thinking that I might be picking up some more of these. And fixing these places, because you can get some really cheap stuff up here. And fixing some of these places up and turn them into rental units, make money off of them. I don't know, fix them up, maybe sell them, make a big profit off of that way. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds, but I plan on this place here, when it's done, it's going to be worth a lot more money than what I paid for. The value of it's going to be quite high. So I'm doing a really nice job on it, and that's not his forte. I mean, you can see, I mean, that's a nice bathroom there. And this is all turning out really nice. And, you know, it's going to be a nice little home. And so, yeah, it got me irritated for a minute. And I know he was mostly just joking around, but he has different ideas than me. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't ask him to come up. Because he would be coming up and just slapping stuff together and, hey, good enough, you know, and we'd be getting in arguments and stuff. And I was actually talking to Tracy about it, and she's like, you guys are just like two alphas and you'd just be fighting. Yeah, she's absolutely right. You know, it is what it is. But so, it's not, you know, that didn't really, it just tripped me off. And I think it was because I was sick. But it is what it is. But yeah, sometimes the comments and stuff like that, and I know, I don't mean people say, oh, it's all good, we love your videos, blah, 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 keep coming. I get all that. There's a lot of people out there who really enjoy these and stuff. You know, I don't really make anything off of these types of guys. It's really bad. Some people tell me, I'm going to start up my own YouTube channel. I'm like, good luck with that one. If I had to do it again, I probably wouldn't do it. I mean, the amount of money that I have invested in stuff, I maybe have barely come back with the investment I put into this. And I've been doing this for 2 years. I mean, the first year, all the money that I made off of it, actually I gave to somebody else because they were complaining that they had enough money to live on and stuff. So I gave them all my YouTube money. I never took a dime, and I kept investing money. You know, and I'd say that I'd probably come even, but now a lot of my equipment is getting old, and it's like, you know, do I want to throw in a whole nother investment out there? I don't know. But, you know, sometimes sometimes I kind of take a break and stuff. It's one of the main reasons why. It's like, I just get so frustrated with people. It's like, I don't know why people have to sit here and watch something if they don't like it and they have comments about it or whatever and they want to start these fights and stuff. I don't know why people want to waste their lives doing that, but you know, it gets you worked up a little bit. And sometimes I just take a break from it, from doing the videos. You know, it just, sometimes it's just, you know, I read all the comments and it's just like, shut up. And I get that people have, you know, opinions and everything else and stuff, and that's all cool. I mean, yeah, everybody should have their own opinion. You know, I do things, and I do them, you know, my certain way or whatever. Are they the absolute, you know, way they should be done? Maybe not, but it works for me. There we go. I wasn't gonna, some of these up here I know are not set, because I wasn't planning on doing all the edges, so I was just gonna put a piece of trim over, so I didn't really care. But then I rethought it. I'm gonna do everything in here. There's just the cabinets and stuff. There's just not enough room for the trim and everything. So I don't know if I've translated that good or not. Sometimes I get a little irritated, and it happens. With some people, it's almost like they think that I owe them or something because they watch my video. No, I appreciate people who take time out of their days to watch videos and, you know, subscribe and stuff. But I'm gonna do things, and sometimes I may say something that some people are just not happy with. Hate to tell you that, but that's called Larry. Okay, that one didn't hit anything. That's why that one's not flush. But you can see what I did is I put a piece of wood behind here, and goes back here, and I put some screws into the old drywall, and then I just cut a disc to go into that to fill that most of that void up, and then put a couple screws in there to hold it, and then I can just putty that in, put some mud on there, and that will be a good one. It won't hang down. You can get like patches, they sell them all the time, little patches you can stick over bigger holes and all this stuff. It takes so many coats, and it always bulges down because the weight of the mud on there makes it bulge down, and you try to sand, it's just a pain in the butt. This works really good. This way it's all secure, and you be able to mud it and sand it, and you'll never see it. So I'm gonna get the mudding. Alright guys, so before we put the mud on, we need to prep the cracks, all the cracks that go across here. Now you need to tape all this stuff. And what this does is add strength to the cracks, so that if the house settles or moves a little bit, which houses they crack and, you know, they settle and move around, houses move. And when it does that, if you put just drywall mud on here to cover the seam, what's going to happen is when it cracks, it's just going to crack the mud. So you put some kind of tape on there. I prefer this stuff right here. And there's a couple different kinds that you can get. You can get rolls of paper, you can get a special mutter. But this one here is just self-adhesive. It's like a white, it's like a fiberglass mesh. You just put it on there. Like so. There you go. Now I'll just put the mud and I'll apply it on there, and I'll do that over all my cracks on the flat surfaces. Now in the corners, it's a little different. On the corners, I use this stuff. This is called straight flex. You can use this stuff in a straight. You can use this stuff on inside corners, outside corners, whatever you want. It just matters on which way you bend it. But what you do is you will cut off a certain length. Measure it here. This stuff kind of has a plastic in it. It gives you nice straight corners, seams and stuff. I'll be using this all on the roof, on the ceiling, so I'm going to do this entirely. But it's got a little indentation in it, and if you put it on an outside corner, you actually fold it over and it gives you a little plastic ridge. If you put it on an inside corner like this, then all you do is just bend it like so. And you don't want to bend it too far. You don't want to bend it to make a full 90 so that it stays there. You kind of want it to fight back a little bit. That way it stays against the wall. And then you will put a coat of mud. You'll just put a real thin coat of mud on the corners to hold this, and then you will press this on and it will stick to the mud, and then you will mud over the top of this, and this will sit right into the corner and give you a nice perfect corner. When you get it all mudded and all drywall and then all sticks and everything, then that will give you a nice corner, a nice straight corner. I will be doing this on all the corners, all the ceilings, everything else. Okay, but I do not use this stuff in outside corners. On outside corners, I use this. I buy this stuff, and it's much more rigid, and it has a very hard plastic. It has a thicker plastic edge on here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. See, this is going to be an outside corner. There's not going to be anything here, and you need to mud over the top of it. So what happens is you put this over the top of it, like so. You mud this, you'll have another piece over here, and then you'll coat this with mud in between the two, and you just run your trowel right down to it, and you basically just fill this up. It's about 1/8 of an inch or so that it'll be thick in drywall mud. And then when you sand it down, you'll actually come into a little bit of plastic when you get down to it, and you just want to sand it down so you're just hitting that, and that'll make this really nice and smooth. And then it'll put a real thick edge on your drywall like this. So if somebody's sitting here and they lean up against it or something like that, it doesn't damage the corner of the drywall. It has a hard edge on it that will take the abuse. Things like this is an outside corner. This door frame will get it too. See, that'll get that on there. And you see how I place these screws. See, the screws will get covered. Yeah. LongHaul Larry thinks once in a while. But see, that's how those work. So that way when you're going through the door or something like that, and you're coming through, and oh, somebody's coming through too, and you move over the side or something like that, and you go through the door or something and you brush up against it, you don't damage the drywall mud. You hit this corner here. So that's what these are used. So I'm going to get the tape in, tape all this off and everything, get all ready, and I'm going to start mudding. Alright guys, we got everything all taped. We got all our other corner pieces all weighted and everything. Here's a couple things that you need. This is a taping knife. And this one here, I don't use this very much. It's kind of a final one, but basically it goes over the seam like here. Okay? I don't use this. I won't be using it now. I use a smaller one. And tell you the truth, I actually like this one more. I'm just more comfortable with it. It's actually big enough to go over the seam. But the first coat, you're just going to put a light coat over it. You don't want to put it real thick. You just put a light coat over it. And then these are very, very handy for corners. Because it's very hard to spread the mud like this because you're getting mud way out here and stuff. They do it and then the edge never gets it right. So what you do is you kind of put mud in there. And you put mud in there. You put it over on the other side, and then you'll take this and you press it in and you go like this. It gives you just a perfect corner with a sweep down line. It's just awesome. Some people, they use a like a bucket thing. They'll use like a bucket to hold it in there, hold your putty while you're walking around doing things. I don't. I use this. Tracy says it's because I'm an artist. I hate this job. This is probably my most least favorite thing to do. Is mud. And I've seen guys do this and just fly. And they do it and it's just like there's hardly any sanding. It's just perfect, you know. I'm not good at this. I really am not. But I will tell you that with the new sander that I have, I'll show it to you, right there, that sander right there, it's been a lifesaver. It does a great job. See, I did this room, there's a seam right here all the way around the room. And in the past, I have fought with these and try, because you hand sand them and you get high and low spots on that machine. You just run it across there. I did put a slight bit of texture onto it because there is still a couple mistakes. There's one over here by the light switch. There's a 4-foot piece that goes on there, and it didn't match up well, and I didn't sand it the greatest. So there was a little spot there, so I sprayed just a little tiny light bit of texture on. That over there is going to be the access door for the shower fixtures. But that sander, you just run it across that seam, and it has an 8-inch pad and just runs right across. And when you start, you could see the ridges on each side of the drywall where it tapers up. As soon as you start to see those ridges, you stop and it's just perfectly smooth. It's so much easier with that machine. But I still hate the mud. Now I use this stuff here. I've always used this stuff. I get this at Menards. It's a lightweight, and it's lightweight mold with mold control. Probably a lot of people have seen, you can get like a, I think it's like a blue cover, a green cover of drywall mud. And I actually ran out, and the hardware store, I had called them up and he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm taping seams, putting up drywall. And he goes, oh, you just need all-purpose then. He gave it to me. He gave me a 5-gallon pail. I used maybe a quarter of it. It sucked. Every corner that I put it into, it cracked. I put it across, I smoothed it across there, and there was like little air pockets all in it. It was terrible. This stuff here does not crack. It's awesome. I love this stuff. But basically, what you do is just start putting it on. And right here, this wall over here is not going to be a great wall. It's going to be a kind of a booger to mud. Because I don't know why I did it, but I got cheap. And I basically spliced together a bunch of pieces of drywall down here in the bottom. So none of the seams are tapered. This top seam is not tapered that I'm doing right now. Just like so. That's all you're gonna do. That's all we're doing, is just filling over, putting a light coat on it right now. And it will be a first sand. And then I will be coming back and doing this with another coat. This is just the first one. And you need to go across the screws in a couple different directions. You can see, I don't know if you've seen how I've been doing this, but I basically squirt some on there and then I come back at a different angle and I usually go back again. What happens is when you put the mud in it, you may get a little air pocket inside of it. And if you just go across, that little air pocket will actually push out on it and you'll get a little dimple wherever a screw is. A little mess up there on the base of it. Put some mud on there and just sand it. That's how you get your little stuff on your trowel that messes it up. Okay, so that wall is pretty much done. So we can start putting a corner piece up here. And all I'm doing is just putting just a little bit of mud, just like so. Now we can set this aside. Now we can put our corner piece up, and that will stick to that mud I just put in there. Go. Now we're going to do the same thing. I got to turn the heat down. I got the furnace going too high. I turned it up a little bit when I got here. Man, goodness. Okay, so now we get our corner trowel. There we go. And there's a corner. So you can see how that works. Like I said, it will take another coat. This is just the light coat onto there right now. That's really heavy in there, trying to fill that gap in. It'll be fine. But I kind of boogered the tape up right here. See if I can fix that so it doesn't stick up. That'll be fine. But you can see how corners work. Now this is a good seam. Okay, I'll show you this, how this comes out. This works real nice. Okay, now I don't know if you can see it, but there was kind of a hole there, and I pushed some of the mud in there, but now you can see it. It's pressed out actually. It's because it's got an air in there, so that's why we'll go this way, go that way. Okay, and that's what it do. Okay, so now we're gonna go back. So we kind of smushed it all into there. Now we just go back. Ta-da! That's how you do a seam. And that is the first coat. That is not perfectly level. You can see like right in here and there and stuff. I kind of missed some. That's just the first coat. I'll just roughen it up. And then when I come with the next coat, then I'll have it full all the way across this whole thing. I'm pretty much covering from end to end and this. And that'll put my final one in. This guy it was super bad. You can see how it's so yellow. And you can see how it's white. This is really not even white. It's kind of white, you know, but it's not really that bright. This guy that lived in here smoked like 2 or 3 packs of cigarettes a day in here. When I first came up here, the neighbors came over and said that they used to come in here and visit with him for a few minutes or something. And he said, boy, when you left, you like smelled like you'd been in a bar for a week. It was really bad. And that's why I'm putting Kills paint over everything. After we get this all done and get everything all sanded and stuff, I put a little bit of texture onto it, and then I spray it with a Kills paint that kills bacteria, kills smell, and it also keeps mold from growing too. I know that some people are going to say when I put like in the, especially in there or in here or something like that, or on the same, why, just drop my mud. Why didn't you put green in there? You know, the anti-mold drywall. Guess what, guys? I have pulled drywall off before, and I've pulled the green stuff off before, and it has mold on it. What that is it's got a chemical in the paper. They spray it on, that's why it's green. I don't know if the chemical is green or if they just spray it just to acknowledge that this is special stuff. But you're supposed to use that in like wet locations. And it's supposed to keep mold from growing on it, but it doesn't do anything behind it. And that's where you usually get your mold. You usually don't have mold growing on the outside of your walls. If you do, you need to clean your house, okay? You need to wipe down your house. But I did not put that in there. The main reason why is because drywall is so expensive up here, guys. It's like 14 bucks a sheet. I brought a bunch with me, but I needed a whole bunch more, and I knew that. And as soon as I came up and tore it all out, I started counting, and I'm like, whoa. So I ran down to the lumber place the first couple days and picked some up. It was $14 a sheet up here. I paid like $7.49 a sheet back down in Wisconsin that I brought up. It's crazy expensive. And the green stuff, it was like $20. And I was just like, I'm not putting it up. Because there's no really purpose to it, because it just has something on there to keep the mold from growing. And it's just a chemical that's on the outside of it, the surface of it. But behind it, it still can mold. And the thing is, I'm spraying everything with Kills. Everything is getting doused on with Kills to get any kind of bacteria, any kind of the odor, because it's gotten a lot better. It used to be real musty, you know, and the place sat closed up for a couple of years. But the guy smoked so heavily in here that, I mean, it was crazy. When I started pulling drywall off, you could actually pull the trim off. You could actually see nicotine when I started putting heat in here. Nicotine little lines of yellow stuff was just running down. It was so bad in here. So it's gotten so much better. It's a lot better in here now. But that's the main reason why I didn't put the green stuff in there. I know people are gonna say, oh, we should have put green. It's really, I'm doing it anyways. I'm spraying it with Kills, and that's what Kills does, is it puts that on there that kills mold and everything else, so you won't have that in the future. So that's why I just didn't see the point in putting that in and then spraying it also. So, and spending all that money for when I'm gonna spray it anyways. You know what I mean? I just dropped mud right on the toilet. Blech. So I'm gonna clean up my tools and start moving on to electrical in the other rooms and maybe get some drywall up, blah, blah, blah. And just keep on moving through the house and come back and sand this. I might show you guys that. I'll show you guys that sander. It's really awesome. And if you ever plan on doing drywall, the sander costed me $130, I want to say $138 off of Amazon, and it's so worth it, guys. I almost don't mind sanding. Almost. But it is so worth it. I would just be cursing and just throwing a fit if I didn't have that thing. It's so bad. But I was able to get that, and it works so good. So there's some spots like the corners, all the cornering stuff. That there, you can do it right up to it, but you can't get in the corner real good. And so you just take a little sanding block and just go along and just afterwards and just run it alongside there and cleans it right up. So it's pretty good. So I'll catch you guys later. I hope that everyone out there is having themselves a great day, great night as they watch this here video. And if you're not, well, certainly try it all over again tomorrow. I am so tired. I can't even, it's like 2 to 3 hours is my max time I can even just be up right now. I'm just so worn out. It's not even funny. It's the worst time for this sickness. I'll catch you guys later. See ya.